is awesome. Look, guys, I'm a rhino.
Welcome to Watch Mojo, and today we're counting down our picks for the TV shows that had a relatively great run, that is, up until their final season. Spoilers will be mentioned, so this is your official warning.
I have to protect them from me.
Number 20, The Vampire Diaries, Season 8. A 100% critics rating can sometimes be deceiving. Coming out at the height of the vampire craze, The Vampire Diaries quickly found a loyal following. It maintained its popularity for years, but started to struggle towards the very end, especially after the protagonist left before the 7th season.
Your mistakes can never be undone. My life is worth something. So is your death. Think about how much good you would do for the people who actually deserve to live.
The show's problems only grew during its 8th and final run, with the plot becoming unnecessarily convoluted, and the lead being brought back seemingly just to advance the final storyline. Additionally, it struggled to find satisfying endings for all of its leads, something that even Elena's return couldn't fix.
It's good to see you, Elena. One last time.
Overall, it was a shaky ending for what had been a surprisingly good program, and left many fans wanting more.
Damon. Hello, brother.
Number 19, Felicity, Season 4. Sometimes, keeping things simple is the way to go. Starting as a straightforward show about a young woman navigating adulthood, Felicity was renowned by critics and viewers. For the first 3 seasons, it didn't really stray from its original concept, with several stories being centered around her love life. But in Season 4, everything went off the rails. A subplot was introduced wherein Felicity was essentially sent back in time to try dating someone else.
It will never be over, Ben.
Oh, come on, wait a second. We have not even had a chance. We've barely had any time together.
Time isn't going to change this.
It has to.
It doesn't work that way. So, I'm going to go.
The decision went against everything that had been established. To top everything off, they reverted back to the original plot at the last second, making those episodes nothing more than a what-if exercise. The bizarre conclusion had little appeal, leading to a decline in ratings.
I'm so sorry. I'm sorry.
I know.
Does this mean...
Yes, I forgive you.
Number 18, The 100, Season 7.
Transcendence is a choice. You can choose to come back.
Of course. Though until now, no one ever had.
Some shows can't help but go full nuclear in their final hour. When it first started airing, The 100 immediately caught interest for its take on a post-apocalyptic future. It only grew more acclaimed throughout its tenure, with its deeper themes and characters being praised. When the initial episodes of the final season aired, many were confident that it would end on a high note. Unfortunately, those hopes were dashed the longer it went on.
Look at yourself. What you feel right now. The need to protect someone you love so badly, you're willing to kill your closest friend. Someone you trust, who's telling you that the fate of the entire human race is at stake.
It all came to a head after Clark's character assassination and death of Bellamy, destroying an arc that had been built since the beginning. While it came close, it simply couldn't stick the landing, causing it to go out with a whimper.
A curious species indeed.
Number 17, House of Cards, Season 6. While some programs sour on their own, others are a victim of their circumstances. For years, House of Cards was lauded across the board, with Kevin Spacey at the helm. Accusations coming out about him in late 2017 led to his swift removal, but rather than end the show there, they decided to go through with the final season without him.
My turn.
The focus shifted to Claire and her own ambitions, leading to several characters being killed off in the process. Other aspects were muddied, such as the iconic fourth wall breaks that were suddenly being awarded to smaller roles. The changes, and the Spacey-sized elephant in the room, essentially sent the whole House of Cards tumbling down.
He got weak, Doug. That wasn't your fault.
He made you! Say it. Say it. Say it.
I'm not going to give you what you want.
Number 16, Glee, Season 6. Some shows decide to just throw everything at the wall and see what sticks, with Glee being one of the biggest offenders. Although the 6th season showed promise in the beginning, both by introducing a new batch of interesting students and returning to its campy roots, it quickly devolved into chaos and fan service.
When I am with you,
Several characters went against their previously established beliefs, beloved relationships ended, and the stories became too unrealistic, even by Glee's standards. It all finished off with the original cast achieving their wildest dreams, and everything neatly falling into place. While undoubtedly nice, it came across as pure pandering to Gleeks. Number 15, The Crown, Season 6. While it originally gave new perspectives into one of the world's most prestigious families, it still couldn't save itself from floundering in its final hour. The series spanned several decades, with the final season primarily focusing from the late 90s to the mid-2000s. As such, it was heavily centered around Princess Diana and Prince Charles' deteriorating relationship and her tragic passing.
I'm afraid there's been an accident. She was in a car crash with Dodi Fayed. She's been taken to hospital. There's no news yet of her condition, but we believe the accident was serious and Mr. Fayed died instantly.
Just had a call from my press secretary in London. Apparently it's all over the news.
While that section was highly praised, everything that came afterwards was not. Many felt as though The Crown had long overstayed its welcome, particularly as it moved into the younger generations of the royal family. It was clear they had bitten off more than they could chew, causing what had once been a riveting show to completely fizzle out.
You think I'm not shattered by this? Your mother and I had just patched up our differences. We
patched up your differences? What planet are you on? She still loved you. And only wanted to be in the south of France and not to be there when you threw a birthday party for the other one.
Number 14, Killing Eve, Season 4. At its peak, this show was a breath of fresh air amongst its contemporaries, but even that couldn't ensure a perfect run. Killing Eve took the concept of a spy series and turned it on its head, peppering in romantic, dramatic, and comedic moments that kept the audience on their toes.
I know this is going to end badly. But we can't just walk away.
I don't care. I have my own stuff to deal with.
It's not gonna end.
Eve, just go!
The fourth and final season essentially took all of that goodwill and spat on it. It seemed to be going in the right direction initially, especially after it seemed Eve and Villanelle had gotten closer. Just when it seemed there may be a happy ending in sight, the latter of the two was suddenly killed, playing into a harmful trope and angering the fan base in the process. Number 13, Prison Break, Season 5.
My name isn't Michael. And I don't know who you are.
There are some shows that try to go on long after they should have ended, and this is one of the biggest offenders. Even after a couple of middling seasons and a feature-length film, Prison Break still returned for a fifth installment in 2017. While it featured some returning favorites, the story itself had taken a huge hit. They even undid a major character death, completely destroying any emotion derived from the original scene.
Michael Schofield had to die. I had to fake my death. Go away. That was part of the deal I made.
Beyond that, the unrealistic elements were less exciting and harder to ignore. This led to the finale feeling underwhelming and cheap by the time it rolled around, despite it having been seemingly written to appease fans.
Love you. Love you too.
Number 12, Arrested Development, Season 5. This was unfortunate proof that some shows are helped by an early cancellation. At its peak, Arrested Development was regarded as one of the best sitcoms of the era. After a nearly decade-long break, it was revived by Netflix in 2013.
I'm not checking these. Sorry, you actually can't carry those on board. Let me start over. I am the star of Altitude magazine this month, or quarter, actually. It's an April-September issue, and I just wanted to get a copy. Not flying anywhere.
Why do you have suitcases?
Those are irrelevant.
Not to me.
Okay.
However, it ended up falling victim to its own success. The original humor of the first 3 installments was practically impossible to live up to, setting up the finale for failure. Season 5 was the biggest victim of this, with the courtroom-centered story failing to make the same impact as earlier plotlines.
The question is, do you recall the night in 1982 when Mimi died?
Where are you going with this, Michael?
I just want the truth.
Oh, God. Are you going for one of your few good men moments?
Its fall-off was further proven by a reliance on callbacks, proving that it had become a shell of what it had once been. Number 11, Once Upon a Time, Season 7. You'd think that after years, certain aspects of a program would be set in stone. However, Once Upon a Time decided to break that mold by replacing a majority of the cast before its final season, leaving only 3 long-running cast members.
What happened? How did you escape the tower without me?
Well, it's a long story, Papa, but well, I'm here now.
No, don't. You know my heart is poison. You can't come near me.
This also meant that several of the characters the audience had grown to love had been completely altered. That was only the beginning of its downfall. The timeline also suddenly jumped forward by several years, altering several plots in the process. Even the setting was completely different. The final season essentially feels like a reboot. The extreme changes only harmed its legacy, turning it into a complicated mess that not even magic could save.
Their stories are far from over.
A happy beginning, then. I'd like to call it a second chance.
Number 10, The X-Files, Season 9. It may have gotten a second chance at an ending, but the original can never be swept under the rug. By the time Season 9 of The X-Files came to fruition, both of the leads had already moved on.
Greater than your lies, the truth wants to be known. You will know it. It'll come to you, as it's come to me. Faster than the speed of light.
This led to David Duchovny only appearing in the finale, and Gillian Anderson expressing her own intent to quit. This led to smaller roles suddenly being elevated to main character status, which didn't give them enough time to develop or win the audience over. The writing also took a significant hit, essentially destroying everything that had made the previous season so impactful. This all led to an extremely unsatisfying ending that took a movie and a revival to correct.
And if you and I are powerless now, I want to believe that if we listen to what's speaking, it can give us the power to save ourselves.
And we believe the same thing.
Number 9, Weeds, Season 8. To be fair, this Showtime original had left its heyday long before it reached the final season.
I don't want any negative shit. I've had way too much of it already.
The charming presence of a widow selling marijuana to support her family instantly grabbed critics and viewers alike. However, by the end, it was hard to root for Nancy Botwin. Her antics of screwing everyone over, including her children, had gotten old several seasons ago.
We're at least gonna need to cover our costs.
Honey, you're thinking like before Silas. Don't be before Silas. That was the past.
Shane's potential for a good ending crashed when they made him a crooked cop, and Doug starting his own cult was a nonsensical thread that added nothing to the story.
A prophet came unto me. He came from the future. He told me that I would be a leader of men.
Speaking of story, the final season resolved around the forgettable plot of Nancy and company going corporate. When the finale jumped forward several years to show them all wealthy, we found it pretty hard to care. Number 8, Heroes, Season 4. With the modern superhero boom still in its early days, NBC's original creation instantly got everyone's attention.
Save the cheerleader, save the world!
Heroes was a hit during its first season, but sadly ran out of steam almost immediately. In 2007, the WGA writer's strike saw the producers scramble to salvage the show's storylines.
What is this? Some sort of trap?
No, just listen to me.
Back off.
Viewership plummeted, and by the time the fourth season ended, it had retained only around half of its fan base. We're surprised anyone stuck through it all. Season 4 had somehow made a carnival of ne'er-do-wells boring, with the villain being a messy combination of motives.
If I don't work, I don't feed my family. Are you the kind of man that's gonna allow my family to starve?
You know what? This was a mistake.
Sylar, the villain of the stronger early days, surprisingly turned good, and most other characters barely served a purpose, if at all. Naturally, it was cancelled soon after. Number 7, Scrubs, Season 9. This medical sitcom gained a passionate following thanks to off-the-wall humor and a tremendous amount of heart.
Where do you think we are?
Although NBC canceled it after the 7th season, ABC picked it up to give it an ending. Season 8 was a high point, and the finale was as perfect an ending as viewers could have hoped for.
And even though it felt warm and safe, I knew it had to end.
However, when it was well received, ABC got greedy. It decided to bring Scrubs back for a 9th season. Unfortunately, the majority of the writing staff had left and half the characters were replaced by far less likable ones.
I'm Dr. Mahoney, your student advisor. Here's some crappy pizza.
Commence feeding.
The pivot to med school could have been an engaging one, but the jokes felt thin and there was no heart, making Scrubs seem like a severely watered-down version of its former self. Number 6. Roseanne, Season 9. Long before this sitcom received a revival in 2018, its final season in the late 90s disappointed fans everywhere.
Something weird happened tonight, though, Dan. I went on this kind of spiritual odyssey, guided by Nick.
What had made it a hit was its focus on a working-class family. Viewers related to their struggles and laughed along as they worked through them. But Season 9 took all that away when the Connors won the lottery for $108 million.
I've got it right here. Remember you told me to watch it on TV. What are you talking about?
Gone were the realistic plot lines. Instead, the family enjoyed its ridiculous wealth and received convenient happy endings. It was a complete 180 of what made the show great. In a final backstab, the finale revealed none of it actually happened. It was all a story made up by Roseanne, who couldn't cope with losing her husband to a heart attack.
Rosie?
Number 5. True Blood, Season 7. True Blood hit at just the right time, releasing during the peak of modern vampire mania.
Can't you see what he's really like? And how can you even think about being with him?
Sam, my living room's wrecked. I've got a killer, a vampire, and a shapeshifter on my plate. Right about now, I'm not thinking about being with anybody.
But by the time its run ended, the creative juices had long since dried up. Characters we once loved no longer felt like themselves, and the plot lines on display just went around in circles. Sookie and Alcide as a couple never made sense, nor did they draw any passion from fans.
Just take a shower before you get into our sheets.
All right, fair enough.
Jason and Violet's weird relationship wasn't too pleasing to watch either. Coupled with these plot lines were baffling creative decisions, like choosing to kill Tara off screen, only to make her a ghost to draw the death out.
You were a good mama. I wanted to save you, but I couldn't.
It's no wonder some viewers feel like Season 6 would have made a better ending. Number 4. That 70s Show, Season 8. The history of TV is full of sitcoms that continued on past their prime. Sadly, That 70s Show sits pretty high on that list.
Jackie! My magical horn senses that you're sad. You need someone to talk to.
To be fair, it can be challenging for a show to continue when the main character leaves. After Topher Grace's Eric left in the Season 7 finale, the show weirdly kept him tied to plot points.
Eric's calling from Africa. You know, I never realized how nerdy he was until I started spending $3 a minute filling him in on Battlestar Galactica.
Additionally, Ashton Kutcher only appeared in 5 episodes to give Kelso an ending. The show attempted to fill their holes with a new character, Randy Pearson, who proved a pale imitation as Donna's new love interest.
Hannah, does Eric know you took another man to the movies?
Actually, I invited her. I won tickets from a radio station. My cousin's a DJ, so I just called him up and told him the phrase that pays. My mom has a picture of you and your sister in the bathtub.
The group dynamic just didn't work, and the writing suffered as well, leading to a major decline in viewers until it limped across the finish line. Number 3. Dexter, Season 8. Like many shows, Dexter got weaker the longer it went on.
Deb, I'm your brother. You can hate me if you want, but it doesn't change the fact that I care about you.
Despite this, Season 8 had a decent start. Of course, no one remembers that as the rest of the terrible season overshadows it. Important plot points are completely forgotten about, such as anything to do with LaGuerta's death from Season 7. Others go nowhere, like giving Masuka a daughter.
This is a bad idea. Sorry.
It all came down to poor writing, which culminated in one of the most hated finales in TV history. Dexter ended up faking his own death, leaving his son Harrison to whatever fate, and living in secret as a lumberjack. It was a poor note for the Bay Harbor butcher to go out on. Number 2. Game of Thrones, Season 8. The final season of this epic fantasy featured the same level of incredible effects, stunts, set and prop design, and acting that made it a phenomenon. That in part is why it was such a major disappointment.
You're insulting my late husband.
Are you offended?
With only 6 episodes, Season 8 was a mad dash to the finish line that placed spectacle over substance. The character arcs of Dany, Jaime, and Jon still have fans angry today. Daenerys' descent into madness felt particularly poorly handled.
Next time you fail me will be the last time you fail me.
The short episode count also meant the long night wasn't actually all that long. And the less we hear about its controversial cinematography, the better. Also, Bran as king? How is that satisfying?
I've had nothing to do but think these past few weeks about our bloody history. about the mistakes we've made.
Before we continue, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. You have the option to be notified for occasional videos or all of them. If you're on your phone, make sure you go into your settings and switch on notifications.
Number 1. How I Met Your Mother, Season 9. How I Met Your Mother comedically stretched a meet cute across multiple years, but stretching a single wedding weekend over an entire season was miserable.
So we'll be good either way, right? Honey?
That's right.
Simple plot lines were extremely thin, like chronicling Marshall's journey to the inn for over half the season. The one bright spot was Kristen Milioti as the fabled mother, whose charm actually lived up to expectations.
Hi.
But the finale ruined even that. It jumped around throughout the years, showing Barney and Robin getting divorced 3 years later, only for Barney to have a daughter with a one-night stand.
Everything I have and everything I am is yours.
Worse, Ted's story concludes with the mother's passing, only for him to once again proclaim his love for Robin at the urging of his kids. What a waste of time. Which TV show do you think fell off the hardest in its last season? Let us know in the comments below.
Die, brain cells, die! And you're next, liver.
Did you enjoy this video? Check out these other clips from WatchMojo, and be sure to subscribe and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos.